mentors, a guy I have the utmost respect for, Mr. Holton Bones! Yeah, HB! Come on, bro.
Pete, hey man, listen, Pete, first of all, guys, I just want to say how proud I am. I mean, I remember years ago, and some of you probably don't know Pete the way I remember Pete. This was so many years ago. Driving up to Texas A&M, I'm new to making money in network marketing, and I'm going to do a meeting for somebody who's not even in my organization. And I get there, and and the way I grew up in networking, I grew up with white shirt, red tie, blue suits. I'm talking about just decked out, looking like the best IBM salesperson. And when I get there, I see this big room of college kids, a guy with real baggy cargo shorts on and a baggy shirt, and I'm like, I'm at the wrong meeting. And then I see Pete with this big smile, and the room was completely full of people. And I can tell you, we've been locked this up every since. And so, Pete, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to contribute to this platform. And for those of you who are watching, you're in for a treat. Because, Pete, I thank you so much for extending and giving me 2 hours to close this event outside of Nick. Just kidding, guys, just kidding. I know Pete's having a heart attack right now. And so what I want to do, guys, is I want to make a contribution here. Pete called me up, and I very seldom speak outside of my own personal platform because I'm not a motivational speaker. And I've seen so many great speakers who come on here, and I've turned it on today, and I've had a chance to really listen to some of the people. And I can tell you one thing, guys, Pete, you put together an incredible program. And when Pete called me up, I said, Pete, I'm in. Just tell me, what do you want? He says, what do you want to speak about? I say, Pete, I'm here to serve you. And Pete just started talking about leadership, and we had a very good conversation. And so I want to share with you a little bit about leadership. And one of the things that I did to make sure that I can work within the confines of the time frame, because I very seldom have these short time frames, and I'm excited, I challenge myself. So I drank a gallon of water right before I went on. And I tell you, when you get almost 50, you can't drink a gallon of water without having to go to the restroom within about every 15 minutes or so. So Pete, I drank a gallon of water so I won't take the entire 2 hours, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about leadership and what Pete has done and how he's put this together, and to see all of it come together the way that it's coming, first of all, is an example of leadership. You know, today I'm going to give you what I call an acronym. I'm going to start it off. I'm going to start some things off, but this is not just listening to HB and saying, look what HB said about leadership today. You know, you are going to have a chance to participate, and you're going to have a chance to really expand what I'm actually going to start. You know, I was talking to my good friend. We were just in Dubai, and I just landed yesterday. Was in Dubai for 13 days. And I was talking to Johnny Wember. I said, Johnny, hey, listen, man, you know, I normally don't talk outside of my group. Give me some tips. He says, man, just put together a great acronym. And so I thought long and hard. I put together an acronym that I'm going to start, you're going to finish it. What do I mean by I'm going to start it? I'm going to start with some of the letters. And I'm going to give you multiple concepts about leadership when I talk about it. And then what I want you to do, your assignment, is to go out there and find other activities, other examples, other things that actually match up with each letter that I'm actually going to start with. And so when you take a look at it, it's called leadership. And it starts with the leader. And so I'm going to give you the full acronym for leader, but you're going to finish it. But before I do that, I want to share a story about how Pete and I became really close. And it's really the example of one of the first letters, the first letter L, and I want to share it with you. I never forget, it was a foursome. It was myself, it was Johnny Wember, it was Pete Vargas, and it was a guy named Joe Taylor. See, we ran together as a pack. It was my first time ever making money or significant money in network marketing. And we were all together. We were just so young in our 20s, having a blast. And I never forget, we started making a little bit of money. We wanted to go out and have some fun. And I took up shooting for a little hobby. And here we are, four of us, have no reason to have guns. But what we want to do is we want to go out and do some hunting. And I never forget, I got Pete, got Joe, and got and I got John and said, hey, listen, man, I know a place where we can go out and do some of the best hunting ever. The guy, he's an older man, he's pretty mean, but I'll tell you, he'll let us on there if we go out there and we beg him. And I got us all together, got in the car, and we went there, and Pete looked and says, isn't this the old man here who kicks everybody off this property? I'm like, Pete, yeah, but don't worry about it. I've got some real charm. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do the talking and I'll make sure I get us on to go hunting. We go up there to the guy's property, and I never forget, we get on the property and we drive about half a mile up. We see this nice little old shack house up there. And I said, Pete, you guys stay right here. I'm gonna go talk to the owner. And I go up there to the owner, and I'll never forget, I go up there and I talk to the owner. And I knocked on the door. When I knocked on the door, the guy comes to the door, and I'm expecting this mean man coming, with this gun loaded. It was the nicest guy that you could ever meet. And I said, sir, I love to go hunting. Me and my friends, we're over here. We love to go hunting on your property. He says, you know what? I'd love for you to. He says, nobody ever comes and asks, and people always are afraid. And he says, but I need you to do me a favor. And I said, well, what is it that you'd like for me to do for you, sir? He says, sir, if you don't mind, you see, I've got my mule over there. And my mule is sitting right on over there by that truck. And I said, that's my truck. He said, yeah, that's my mule. And he says, my mule is so old. It's on this last leg right now. And I need to put it out of its misery, but I can't do it. I've had this mule in my family for so long. And I said, so what do you need me to do? He says, I need you, if you don't mind, if you would do me the honor of putting that mule out of my misery. And I said, sir, you want me to kill your mule? He says, don't look at it as killing my mule. Just send him to a better place because, he's not functioning. He can't do all the things that a mule's supposed to do. I said, man, that's a tall order, but I'll make sure I get it done. He says, you can go hunting anytime you want. And I thought that was a good trade-off. Now, here I am. I'm afraid to kill this man's mule. This mule's been in this man's family for a long time. And here's what I figured out, that leaders find a way. They create external and internal motivations to get the job done. And so I start thinking of a way to motivate me to go out there and get the job done. And I never forget, I start going back and forth, and I went back to the car. And I never forget when Pete looked at me, he says, what's going on? I say, you wouldn't believe the bad things that this man said about us, Pete. You wouldn't believe it. He says, well, what did the guy say? Are we going to be able to hunt? I say, no, I don't know if we're going to be able to hunt. I say, Pete, but the guy said some things. And Johnny says, well, what did he say? And I start telling them things that the man said. And he called us all kind of names that nobody in here would actually tolerate. I said, Pete, I'm so upset with this guy. You know what I want to do? I really want to take my gun and just kill his mule. Matter of fact, I'm going in, and I went to go grab one of the guns. I grabbed my shotgun, and I loaded the shotgun, and I cocked it up, and boom, I killed the mule. The next thing you know, I heard this. Boom, boom, boom. Pete, Johnny, and Joe had actually shot 3 of his horses. They said, hey, we got the horses. Let's get out of here and go. And what that was this. Pete showed me a sign. He was loyal. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the first letter of leader is loyalty. See, Pete knew at that time that we were in it together. He saw me shot the mule, and there were only horses left. And he got them. And so loyalty, ladies and gentlemen, is this. You heard Yvonne talk about it as well. It's not necessarily being loyal to the person, but loyal to the mission. See, we had grown up together, and we knew if it was one of us, it was all of us. And my question to you is, are you developing an environment of loyalty? Yeah, you can be loyal to the person as well, but I want you to learn to be loyal to the mission. See, there is no legacy if no one's loyal to the mission. You can be loyal to the person, but what happens when the person is gone? What happens when the person is no longer here with us? The vision must continue to go on. And so you've got to have a sense of loyalty. And loyalty doesn't mean that you follow blindly. Loyalty is something that is earned. It's not something that's just given away. You've got to have a very strong sense of loyalty. That's the L, loyalty. What else can you have when it comes to leader? Love. You got to be able to love on your people. So often I see people who call themselves leaders, and they're really tyrants. Especially in the industry that I see. It's this in relationship that they have, that here I am and here you are, and you must do the serving of me. You know, I watch people all the time, and I see some of the people who haven't even earned, who haven't earned in 10 years what I've earned in a week. And they have all of these requirements before they get in the room. They've got a rider so long, and you've got to have this, and you got to have that, and my seat's got to be positioned this way, and this has got to be positioned that way. And that's not a way to show love. And I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, people see your heart. They see your compassion. They see your empathy. They see your love before they see anything else. You've got to build some love around your people. It's essential. Now, what I'm challenging you to do is to go out and find some other L's there. You heard me talk about legacy as well. I heard one of the people earlier talking about legacy, but I can tell you this, there is no legacy if there is no leadership. There is no legacy if there's not loyalty. There is no legacy if there's not love within the culture that you're building. I want to talk about environment. What type of an environment are you setting? What type of an environment are you setting? You know, I had the privilege of watching and seeing some of the people, and I didn't have a chance to see all the speakers that spoke, but I saw the lineup. And I was so proud. Why? Because I had a chance to see some of the people that I've had a chance of having my moments with. And when I say my moments, they were under my tutelage, direct tutelage for a short period of time. Some of them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You saw Yvonne Tapia talk about one of the best students that I've ever had a chance to invest some time into now. And then to see what he's done and taken just a small little bit that I've given and made it so huge when I hear him talk about that. I didn't see Stormy Wellington, but I saw her on the platform as well. And I take a look and I'm like, wow, so proud to see I had a small little part in what's been done. Even my good friend Pete Vargas, just a little small part and some of the development there. Why? Because of the environment that's been created. See, within the environment, a great leader never takes the credit. A great leader gives the credit. You know, people always talk to me about how many leaders I've created. I didn't create any of them. God did. I can't take credit for creating any of them. You know, anytime people introduce me, they talk about the dozens of millionaires that I've created. And not one time has anybody can ever catch me saying that I've created millionaires. I haven't. Once I got to 50 people that I've actually taught and instructed and mentored to millionaire status, I stopped counting. The number is going way beyond 50 now. But I didn't create their millionaire status. Person after person after person after person after person who became millionaires, multimillionaires, many of them making well over $1 million a year, many of them making $1 million a month, and many of them have gone far beyond that alone. I don't take any credit for it. They did the work. Because see, as soon as I start taking the credit for a person becoming the millionaire, then why can't you ask me to just create another one? Well, why don't you create this one or create that one? And I don't create them. I am only the person who sets the environment. I'm the oven. See, you can put all the ingredients that you want together, but if the oven is never turned on, and if the temperature is not right, nothing happens. But see, some of the people decided because of my leadership and the environment that we created, to step on in there. Now, here's the thing that I want to tell you also about environment, as I want to talk to you about equality versus equity. I do not believe in equality when it comes to business, when it comes to leadership. See, some of the people are all on this tangent that we're all equal. No, we are not all equal, and you don't want everybody to be equal. I want you to imagine right now, one of the greatest basketball players, one of the greatest to play currently right now, LeBron James. I want you to imagine it's 5 people on the court all at one time. I believe they've got 12 players on the team. And it's the NBA Finals, Game 7, and there's 5 seconds left. And the coach brings a huddle together, and LeBron James comes on over there, and you got Anthony Davis over there, and you got some of the other players, and they're sitting in the huddle. And here's player number 12, because of equality, comes and says, well, coach, I know you're drawing this play up for LeBron, but it's my turn to shoot. We need to have equal time. Do you run your business that way, of trying to be equal? No. I want you to understand there's a difference between equality and equity. See, the equity means that everybody has the opportunity to have a similar outcome based on the environment that you create. And some of the people, the different millionaires that have come from the camp that I built, they had the same system, the same company, the same compensation plan. They had the same products. They had the same challenges. If there was a back order, it was a back order for everyone. And so what happened was, what they took was their equitable opportunity to not be equal. And that's why I don't treat everyone the same. But I create an environment and give everyone an opportunity to be created or to be treated the same. And that's what you've got to do to be a great leader. Don't give everyone exactly the same. You give them the same opportunity. Don't take the credit, give the credit. The other thing, the other E I want to give you is example. I'm the CEO of my own company now, and I own 16 different corporations now, but my main company, it's CEO. And people say, are you the chief executive officer? I said, no, I am the chief example officer. So E, example. What example are you setting for those that follow you? Let's go to A right now, because a half a gallon of water is now pushing down on my bladder, and I've got a few more minutes to go ahead and abide by Pete's rule. A stands for access. You got to give people access to you. You know, I see these leaders who want to be a leader from afar, a conference call leader, a Zoom leader, and you know what? Make an appointment 6 months out leader. And I'm not saying everyone has access to you, because I don't believe in equality. I believe in equity. But you have to give access to who you are. And I'm not talking about just your time. I'm talking about access here to the person, to the woman, to the man, whoever it is that you are. Transparency, vulnerability. And I know I'm probably stepping on some toes, specifically with the guys, when I say vulnerability. Why? Because we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to share. We don't want to be completely transparent. I run a company right now, and the company, our core philosophy is we run what's called the IT factor: integrity and transparency. I'm going to tell you the good, I'm going to tell you the bad, I'm going to tell you the ugly. Why? Because I learned there are no secrets. This world is way too big for any secrets to take place, and the truth is good enough. And I'd rather tell you the truth once than have to remember all the things that I tried to do to put the spin on what's going on. I hold conference calls and I tell the organization exactly what's going on and why. You know, we have a core philosophy around our office here that I put in place, and I call it the 12 o'clock syndrome that we have here. And I want you to imagine a clock, and I want you to think like this a little differently. If an issue comes up at 12 o'clock, as soon as the issue comes up, that means it's 12 o'clock on the dot. By 3 o'clock, I better know about it as the CEO. Whoever knows about what that issue is, I better know about it as a CEO. By 6 o'clock, we better have an execution plan and already implementing a solution for that. We also better have been communicating back to the leaders, to whoever it is, and all the followers, all the ambassadors in our team. We've got to communicate what that issue is. See, if it gets to 9 o'clock before we start making a solution, it's already too late. The wrong information is already leaked out. And number one, that is when you have to now focus on the spin. Tell the truth just like it is. I'm not saying that certain things need to be to be held. I'm saying be transparent. Give them access to who it is that you are. I see these so-called leaders that everything is always perfect. Their hair is always in the right place, at least mine is. But everything that they do is always in perfect place. And I can tell you, as soon as I find a perfect leader that has no issues, I know that's the leader that's hiding almost everything. Yes, we know that you're a superhero. Yes, they love you and they admire you and they look up to you. But if you can't be real, you can't connect with them. If you can't have empathy, then you can't connect with them. I was over in Mexico not too long ago, and a lady looked at me and she says, HB, I noticed that you lost all of this weight. This was a few months ago. I noticed that you had lost all of this weight. What did you attribute it to? And she was looking for the best diet plan that I could actually give her. And I could have told her and gave her a spin and said, well, you know, HB's been working out. I said, that's what happens when you pay millions of dollars for a back office, turn it on and it doesn't work. And she looked at me and she says, wow, I get it now. But I could have hid it. I could have told her the weight loss came from something else, but it didn't. It came from my fear of letting down the people that were following me. The people who said, I trust you. And so what I had to do was be transparent with her. And guess what? We built the bond and she knows now, you know what, HB is going to give it to me real. So you got to give them access. D, lead. D, you got to dream. You got to dream bigger. And what you got to do by dreaming bigger is you got to make the pot bigger. You got to make the pot big enough for those who are actually following you. See, if the pot is only big enough for you, you're not leading. You're not leading anyone. You got to make the pot big enough for this leader and that leader and this leader and that leader, because here's what I can tell you about those leaders that come up along beside you and coming up right up under you. Some of them are just as hungry as you are. And I want you to have this philosophy that you're going to the grocery store, to the supermarket, and you're going shopping. And this is what I have to do every day. I've got to go shopping every single day. Well, I've got to feed my leaders. But I want you to imagine going shopping. And I get to the supermarket and I find this nice 16-pound or 16-ounce, filet mignon, bone-in filet, maybe 32 ounces. And I grab one and I put it in my cart. And I come back home. I get to preparing it. All my leaders are looking around like, what is that? And I tell them it's dinner. What are their thoughts? You couldn't find a big enough steak for all of us to eat? You couldn't find other steaks? So is your dream, HB, only big enough for you to get fed? And what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is that's where the law of the lid actually comes on. And so you have to expand. You've got to do the work, and you've got to dream, and you've got to dream bigger. The other D stands for you've got to continue to deserve to be called a leader. Most people think leadership is an appointment or it's a position, and it's not. Leadership is a responsibility. Leadership is something that I have to re-earn that title every single day. See, what I do today is going to determine whether I qualify to be called your leader tomorrow. It's not that I'm a leader by position. I had a guy come to me before and he says, man, I looked down in my organization and I'm a leader now. I said, well, what makes you a leader? He says, I looked in my back office and I saw all of these people under me. I said, you think is that what makes you a leader? He said, yeah. I said, well, why is that? He says, well, most people don't have this many people below them. So that makes you a leader. Here's what I did one day. One night, he was over at the house. Took a few people out, took them to the graveyard, walked out in the middle of the graveyard. I said, I declare all of you leaders. They say, well, why were you doing that? I say, hey, can you count the number of people who are below y'all now? There's a lot of people under you. And they got it. It's not about how many people are up under you. It's not about a position. It's not about being appointed. It's about you re-earning it. You've got to re-earn it. So you've got to dream. You've got to deserve it. And then you've got to develop them. I'm challenging you to find some other D's. I'm going to start with developing your leaders. I don't believe in helping people. I know some of you says, oh, HB, this is all about charity. Exactly. I don't help people in opportunities. I develop them. This event and the people that we're talking about and the charities that see, they're not enrolling, they're not getting into all of these businesses that we're involved in. And so we use the results of what we're doing to help them. But I see people all the time who join the business and they use this as their number one excuse. Why did you join the company? Well, I just want to help people. And they've only talked to 2 people on their list. They don't want to help much people. Develop them. So how do I develop leaders? Number one, I've got to identify some characteristics. And here's the thing that I will not ever do in developing another leader. I will not coach effort. I don't look for a person to motivate them. I don't look for a person to call them and wake them up in the morning to get them going. You're going to have to define what characteristics that you believe deserves the time that you're willing to invest. So I don't coach effort. I'm looking for the person who's hungry. I'm looking for the person who's calling me before I get up. I'm looking for the person who's sending me a message, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, even if I don't respond to them. The person whose feelings aren't hurt so easily. The person who has a tenacity. See, the people who became multimillionaires under my system, under what I've done, they weren't so timid. Their feelings weren't so hurt when I wasn't available. But you got to develop them. So I have a 3-step process of developing leaders. I call it show, shadow, duplicate, the SSD. So anything that I do, because I'm the chief example officer, HB does it first. I go out there and I do it first. And I challenge everyone a part of my team, not with words. And I don't even make an announcement. I challenge it with my actions. And I show everybody, I show them my work ethic. I show them I don't tell them, hey, listen, I'm going to be the hardest worker in the company. They see it. They see it in the very beginning. I never forget when I was making my first quest to make $1 million a month in network marketing. I had never seen anybody who had ever done it. I hadn't seen anybody to do it. I never shouted out to anybody and told them what my goal was to make $1 million of residual income per month. I set a 5-year goal. I said, my 40th birthday is I'm going to give myself the gift of $1 million a month. Now, here's the thing. I had never even made $100,000 a month 5 years prior or 4 years prior. Never even made $100,000 a month. But I knew I could do it. But what did I do? Is I put all the system together. I put my plan together. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And I knew I had dreamed about it. I envisioned it and I saw myself doing it. I saw the organization growing and I saw it happening in all of these places. And then when I pulled the trigger, I backed it up with action. And the people saw, man, this guy is either crazy or he's doing something that he's never done before. So I showed them. Anytime I'm going to develop someone, I'm going to show them what I do first. I lead by example for real, not just textbook leadership, but by for real. Am I perfect? No. Here's the reason why I tell the leaders to follow me. It's not because of all of my successes. It's because of some of the biggest failures that I have. Our presentation for our company shows my history from getting started in network marketing in 1990. And it says from 1990 to 1997, this guy never made more than $500 in a month. I didn't. There was only 3 months that I earned $500. And those 3 months back then, you had to pay commissions out to your team. I grossed $500 a month. That's real gross, isn't it? $500 a month. 3 separate times. That was it. And I tell people today, don't look at the millions that I've earned. Don't look at that. The reason you should join me, the reason you should be a part of what I'm doing, if you're looking for leadership, is because of my first 7 years. I know where all the pitfalls are. I know where all the potholes are. I know where all the bad turns are. I know where all the mistakes are. See, most of you out there couldn't outfail me if you tried. Because I failed and I did it hard. I took it on the chin. I took it real hard. That's why. When I take a look today at what's happening and the results, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I go harder in my failure if I had to do it again, because I know how big the victory would be. So I show. The next thing I do is I shadow them. What do I mean? I do not do for people what they're capable and should be doing for themselves. It's the number one way to stifle leadership, is to continue doing for someone what they should and they are capable of doing for themselves. And some of you want to have the mama hen or daddy hen syndrome, whereas you baby them because you don't want to allow them to fail. And that's exactly what they're going to do. You got to trust that what you've imparted into them actually does work. See, when you don't allow them to fail, you're telling them, I don't trust what I taught you. You got to go ahead and let them go. You got to let the eagles fly. You got to let them spread their wings and get the bumps and the bruises. So I shadow them. I watch what they do and I give constructive feedback. I watch it just for a short period of time, and here's how I give the feedback. I do it in a format, it's a formatted method. Here's what I do. I say, here's what I like best about what I saw in your performance. Write this down. Here is what I like best. Why? Because I can always find something good that a person has done. And I stroke the ego of the person and let them know that I believe in them. And I never forget Edwin Haynes when he was coming up and he was so shy, he wouldn't even lead silent prayer in church. And he came from Mississippi with that southern drawl and he didn't even speak well. And I didn't have much good to talk about his presentation. And I never forget, used to tell him, man, you know what I like best? I like that you had the courage to get up there and do it. I couldn't go any further. I wasn't going to lie to him about how good the presentation went because it stunk. And it was horrible. But I liked the fact that he had the courage to stand up there and do what most people who are so eloquent and who can string verbs, nouns, and pronouns and adverbs together so symphonically, but they won't even have the courage to stand up and give their gift. And I watched him and I told him over and over, man, I love the courage. And then I'll tell him, here's what I like the least. And then my third component is, here's what I would like to see more of. And you know what I should tell them? I tell them all the things I like the least, but when I got to the part of here's what I want to see more of, I want to see more practice. I want to see you do this again. I want to see you give more presentations because there wasn't much. And then he gave me a little bit of meat to grow on, and it was a little bit by little bit. And then I found a little bit more positive reinforcement, and I had more things that I liked and less things that I didn't like as much. And the things that I wanted to see more of were the things that he was doing well. And then I watched him develop into somebody who speaks with so much authority all over the world and makes impacts all over the world. But see, he was hungry. He didn't have the talent. It was inside, what natural. So stop looking for the most talented person and start looking for the person who's hungry. Look for the person who's hungry. Show, shadow, duplicate. How do I duplicate? I taught them in every activity, it doesn't matter what it is. I teach them how to go out and teach someone else, because there is no legacy once you take it down only one level. And when I mean one level, one generation, that means me teaching my son to do something doesn't create a legacy. Me teaching my son to teach his grandson and his son to do what I'm doing ensures the legacy. So you show them, you shadow them, and then you duplicate them. E, example. I talked about example as well. You've got to go out there and be the example. You've got to go out there and you've got to do it first. Don't be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. Just be the example. I love when my team see me fail. I'm so proud in the failures because I get to announce them and never let them see me make that same failure or mistake again. Why? Because they see he's human. Yeah, I'm the superhero to a lot of people, but to my leaders that I'm developing, I don't want to be their superhero. It's hard to lead and develop people who you're their superhero. There's got to be a certain realness to you. You know, I heard the gentleman talk about it with Pete and Tony Robbins. Forgot who was talking then, but Pete and Tony Robbins, you know, and it was just this casual conversation that they were having. Because leaders don't want to be the superhero. That's what you make us to be, superheroes. You cut us, we bleed. You punch us, we hurt. You know, we do all the things that human beings do. It's just that we've developed some things and we're just a little bit better at a lot of things than most people. I'm not this much better than anybody in almost anything. I'm just this much better, that's it. You know, I was watching something on Tiger Woods, and I want to share with you, most people, if I say, hey, listen, you know, if you take myself, you know, who done extremely well in this industry. Now I'm on the ownership side, and I was so excited when years ago we had made over $100 million as distributors in personal profits and income just from comp plan, not other businesses, not any of that other stuff. And most people, when they see that, they think I'm this much better. And I watched Tiger Woods, and I watched this documentary. I want to give you an analogy to show you where you are. You're sitting at home right now behind your computer, or you're driving right now and you've got your mobile phone, and you're probably looking at your bills, and you're probably looking at, here's what happened during COVID, or here's what happened. And you're seeing all of these great things, and you're seeing this 24-year-old Alex Gordon, who's 32 now, talking about he's made $50 million already. And I look at him and I'm like, yuck. Why? Because I didn't do what he did at his age. But I love what he's done, and I love what he's done, and I love the people that he's developed. And some of you are looking at it, you're looking at Yvonne, and you're looking at some of the other people, and you're probably wondering, why isn't it happening to me? And that they're that much further. $150 million investment deal, he's not $150 million better. I never forget the year Tiger Woods made his first $100 million as a golfer. $100 million, many of them were from endorsements. $100 million. In that year, Tiger's golf stroke average was like 68 point something. 68 point something. And you know, there was another guy. His golf stroke average was right at 69.9. Right at about a 70. One stroke more. That means that every time he played a round of golf, he only hit the ball one time more than Tiger Woods. And he didn't even make $1 million a year. See, some of you are just one stroke away from my results. You're one stroke away from Nick's results, who's coming up next. You're one stroke away from the lady who just spoke. And I'm sorry I don't have all the names, but and you're one stroke away from being the #1 person in Mary Kay. You're one stroke away from being an introvert, professional athlete, now motivational speaker. You're one stroke away. But you got to put your work in and put your example. Leader ends with R. Results. There's no leaders who don't have results. What you've got to do is you've got to set an example. And when you start a project, I've always started a project and say, I'm going to set the example of having extreme results. Why? Because that was my way of shopping for a bigger cart. I wanted people to know, you know, there's enough for me. If HB can do that much when he gets started, man, I just want the crumbs. And there was enough for everybody to feel that the opportunity was big enough for them. Results. Results speak. Those guys who are talking about the homes that they're building and this and that, they're not bragging. You wouldn't be listening to us if we came on here and said, hey, listen, you know, we all have mortgages right now and we're still struggling to pay them, but we've got some great motivation for you. Oh, you want to know about the results because you want them. You got to go out there and get results. I'm going to give you one R and I'll leave with this R here because my gallon of water is about to expire, people. You got to have reasons. What's your reason You got to create reasons. See, people all around the world, there's reasons. There's some single mothers right now listening to me. Mm-hmm. And they've got some reasons. Mm-hmm. There's some dads right now who are probably not even with their kids anymore. They got reasons. Mm-hmm. There's some widows, there's some divorcees. There's some kids who've been kicked out of their house by their parents. Relationships are not good. They got reasons right now. See, it's not all about these perfect stories and these match made in heaven relationships. It's about the small reasons, the reasons that are significant to other people that you play a part in creating. See, that's what a leader does. See, what Pete has put on here with this tour, there were reasons that are going to get fulfilled. And see, the reasons that you do it, it's not going to be because of the homes. It's not going to be because of the cars. I didn't do it for the cars. I didn't do it for all the homes that we have. I didn't do it for all the jewelry and the vacations. There were some simple things that nobody knew that resonated deep down inside of me, that I know everybody who's speaking to me right now, or everybody who's listening to me right now, you've got those reasons. Yeah, I know you like the house. I know you want to be in Cancun. I know you want to be in Puerto Vallarta. I know you want to be in Dubai or wherever. Yeah, that's cool. But that may not be your reason. That's your want, but that's not your reason. Mm-hmm. I share stories all around the world, and all these people who made millions of dollars, I can talk to you about those stories. And the more successful I become, those stories are great. It's what I call the eye candy. They're not the reason. It's just the accoutrements. They're the accessories. It's the dressing. But some of the reasons are the small stories. I had a lady, and never forget, and I'll close with this. I had a lady who came up to me one day, and she talked to me. In my company, we give away a membership so people can have access to travel discounts. And she became a customer. And then later on, she became a rep. She came up to me, and I tell her story probably more than I tell our $1 Million Earner story. She said, I want to thank you, Mr. Bucks, for creating this opportunity in this company. I said, no, I want to thank you. She says, no, you don't understand. I said, well, what is it that I don't understand? She says, well, I'm in sales. I said, good for you. I started off in sales. She says, I'm not so good at it yet. And she told me, I said, well, what's significant? She says, well, I have to travel sometimes for my job. And when I travel, I have to pay my expenses first, but I haven't earned a lot of commission. So oftentimes I have to choose which of the 3 meals that I'm not going to eat those days that I'm traveling. She said, but you had a dream, and your dream allowed me to have a discount, and I saved $35 per night on my hotel. And she says, ever since I got connected with your vision, I don't have to choose which meal I'm going to cook up. See, that don't mean a whole lot to all of you who want billions and millions and all of that stuff. See, that lady, what it meant for her is dignity. What it meant for her is pride. What it meant for her is that $35 made a bigger impact for her than some of your first 35 million that you've heard some of these speakers.
Bringing me up.
So you've got to connect with someone what these reasons are, and you can't forget about what these reasons are. And you've got to serve the reasons, and you think you start off small, and I tell you, if you focus on the small reasons that people are going to be a part of your dream, it will create some massive results.
That's right.
And I can tell each and every one of you who are sitting there wondering, should I do this or should I not? And can I win and can I not? And I'll tell you this right here. 3 wise men, and they were out there and they were thinking about where to hide happiness and success, because happiness and success, they didn't want to just go out and shell out and give everybody happiness and success. Why? Because they said we make everybody equal. But what we're going to do is we're going to provide equity. And one of the wise men says, well, you know what we need to do? Man, let's just find a star and put it somewhere on one of these stars out there, because very few people will actually go get it. And they said, no. Somebody's going to develop some technology one of these days, and we will be able to go to some of these planets and people will live on it. And everybody who gets there will grab happiness and success and what have it. And one of the other wise men says, you're right. What we should do is we should actually drop it down in the middle, in the deepest part of the ocean, because humans can't go there. And they says, no. At some point, somebody's going to develop some technology, a submarine that can reach down there, and they're going to build worlds down there. One guy said, you know what, you're right. And the third wise man says, I got an idea where we're going to put happiness and success. He said, well, where? We've thought about everywhere. They said, let's take happiness and success and put it right inside of man. Because if I put it there, he'll never look for it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the key to unlock your happiness and success. Pete, I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come and share. And I just hope that the words that I've given somebody out there creates one of those small stories that's actually going to create some massive big results for somebody who will share it next year. Thanks a lot, lovely people. Appreciate you.
Bugs, appreciate you, man. Hey, give it up for Holton Bugs. Give it up for Holton Bugs. Bugs, p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All 40 speakers in the different time as Holton spoke today. The numbers are going up as people are speaking. You can see leadership at play. But here's the thing. Most people will walk out of here and have all the excuses of why they can't do it, or why they can't invest, or why whatever. And I'm so excited to bring my buddy up, Nick. This is a guy I believe in deeply. Deeply. And I know he's gonna, I could botch it, but I don't care. Nick Santa Stasso, and I'm gonna get it, and I'm fired. He has him on his stage all of the time. And I don't think on our biggest day of the platform tour there is anybody better to close us out today than Nick. Would y'all give some love for my buddy, Mr. Nick? Nick, you there, buddy?
I'm here, brother, looking good.
Hey, bro, close us out. Take us home, baby.
All right, let's do it, my friends. All right, this is going to be short and sweet like myself, so let's get it started here. Let's get it started here. So most importantly, man, this has been an amazing event. And I want you to make sure that you have something to write down some notes. The reason being is because when you physically write things down, you actually retain more information. Now, I know your time's valuable, and I know my time's valuable, so I'm not here to waste your time, and I know you're not here to waste my time as well. The second thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to let you know that I'm not here to give you the answers. I'm like little baby Yoda. I'm short. I'm going to ask great questions that have a lot of wisdom. And what HB was talking about, and it was beautiful said about leadership, is one of the great things that leaders do is we ask great questions to lead people to the right answers. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to ask specific questions so you can adopt your own answers and take action on your answers. Right? So let's get into this. And what we're going to talk about here today in the few minutes that we got going on is basically psychology. Now, everybody's heard that you know, psychology is the majority of the battle. You get into business, you get into anything, and the mechanics, anyone can give you the mechanics. But if your psychology doesn't follow, you'll never get the results that you want. And I'll prove it to you in the chat, and there's chats all over the world here. How many of you know how to lose weight? Right? You know how to lose weight. You put less food in this hole, you move your body. It's not a complex process. But why don't you go to the gym? Why don't you stay consistent? Why don't you stay consistent on your diet? What gets in the way? Quick, your psychology. Your psychology gets in the way. And so if you want to start your notes off with this, 80% is psychology, 20% is mechanics. You need your psychology to back the mechanics, especially when you're modeling these amazing people who have the results that you want. And the second thing that I want you to write down, which is the most important thing, is that knowledge is just potential power. The real power comes from implementation. Now, how many of you ever went to a seminar, bought a course, went to a challenge like this? You wrote a whole bunch of notes, and then you close your notebook and you didn't do anything about it. Drop a yes if you're honest. Come on now. I see the chat, right? So don't be that guy or girl who takes all these notes, gets all the nuggets and all the wisdom, and then puts it on the shelf and doesn't do anything about it. Remember, Nick, it is one finger, and make sure you implement one thing that we say here that's going to make a drastic change in your life. And so let's address the elephant in the room. Why is this guy so handsome? And why does he have no legs, one arm? And so in 1996, my parents went in for a late ultrasound. They sat them down, they pulled the baby up on the screen, and suddenly the doctor started freaking out. They said, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And they said, "Well, something's extremely wrong. It doesn't look like your baby's limbs are being developed. It looks like he's missing his legs, his arm, his face might be messed up." Clearly my face isn't messed up, right? So sometimes successful people aren't right. And so what they did in that moment was they classified me with what they call Hanhart syndrome. And Hanhart syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And I promise there's a lesson in this. And so at the time of my birth in 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs. And so they looked at my parents, and I know we have a bunch of parents in here. They looked at my parents and said, "Your baby boy has about a 30% chance to live." Now, in that moment, my parents made a massive decision, a massive promise. And that promise was that my parents were going to focus on the 30% chance of me living versus the 70% chance of me dying. The reason being, I want you to write this down. What you focus on, you get more of. What you focus on, you'll get more of. What you focus on expands. But also just a quick little equation that we can give you here. And this isn't math. I can only count the one finger. I'm not giving no math equations here. This is the focus equation. And the focus equation is what you focus on, you feel. Yes or no? Focus on bad things, you feel bad things. You focus on good things, you feel good things. And based on how you feel dictates what kind of action you're going to take in life. And what kind of action you're going to take in life dictates what kind of results you're going to get in life. Now, I'm just being honest here. I'm not here to be a friend. I'm here to be a coach. I'm here to be a mentor. I'm here to guide you like little baby Yoda. Most of you are focusing on what could go wrong. What could go wrong if I do this? Is it going to work? Does this stuff even work? Is this really true? But I challenge you today to flip your thinking and focus on, what if this does work? What if I could have the results like these guys and these girls? What if it finally does work for me? What if I finally can reap the benefits, the fruits of my labor? What if it does work? So who's up for challenging themselves by leaning into faith versus fear? There's fear all around you. I'd much rather lean into faith rather than fear. Don't be fearful. When you're fearful, you won't take action. And so what you focus on, you'll get more of. Now you're looking at me right now and you're saying, this guy's got no legs or an arm. How can I relate? Well, this guy that got no legs or an arm, and this isn't to boast, but I've done some pretty amazing things. I was famous on Vine and became a bodybuilder, even without legs, right? Crazy. I'm on tour with Tony Robbins. I help entrepreneurs unwire and rewire their brain, help them improve their psychology. But if there's anything that you get from me today is that I didn't have all the mechanics and I didn't have all the body parts. And I still got the results that I wanted in my life because I was able to override the software, which is called your brain. Now we're going to go into the brain here, and I promise I won't take up too much time. I know we're over time here. So I want you to let you know that over your period of life, which by the way, most of your beliefs around money, your beliefs around business, your beliefs around relationships, girls and guys, most of your beliefs were stemmed from 0 to 7 years old, from your environment, your parents, and the things that you were exposed to. And yes, all of you here have unconscious beliefs around money, around business that are repelling you from making the impact and making the money that you want. And I'll prove it to you. Real quick, if you've ever heard these throughout your whole entire childhood, I want you to drop a yes in the chat. If you've heard any of these during your childhood, drop a yes in the chat. You ready for this? We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people, they got lucky. Big boys don't cry. Girls should be seen, not heard. Now I know, I don't even have to look in the chat. There's thousands of yeses going yes, 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 and yes, because every single one of us were exposed to one of these thoughts or another. And is it true that along your journey of life, someone can tell you something and you can start to believe it? And the truth is, on an unconscious level, you started to develop beliefs that money was hard to get and that you weren't worthy of the success. And you can't have the results of the other people. And I want to let you know that's all BS. So maybe today it's just really identifying what beliefs are holding you back so you can get to the next level of life. But I'm just like you. When I was in middle school and high school, I had a bunch of limiting beliefs. I had beliefs that I have no legs or an arm. I'll never have a girlfriend, never have a wife. I can't work a regular job. I'll never be financially independent. There was actually a moment where I was on a school bus and there was a girl to the left of me and she was making fun of everyone on the bus. I'm like, oh man, she's going to have a field day with me today. And I looked over to the left and I looked this girl in her eyes and she said, Nick, I don't even have to start with you. You're already too messed up anyway. Look at you. Now, as a 14-year-old kid, the first question that pops in my head is, why me? Why she got to make fun of me? But humans do this thing, what we call stacking. We can stack thoughts in a negative way, and we can stack thoughts in a positive way. And so you'll notice if you ever woken up on the wrong side of the bed, if you don't shift your focus, your whole day is negative. You're pissed off, you're in traffic, your tire pressure's off, you got to go to work, you got to pick up the kids. Who knows what I'm talking about? Drop a yes in the chat. You start stacking because your brain started negative and it just kept going. And so when that girl said that line to me, I started to stack thoughts. And the thoughts that I would stack with were, Nick, you are disgusting. You'll never have a job. You'll never be successful. You'll never have a girlfriend. You never go to your junior prom and your senior prom. And like I said, over our journey of life, we start to believe thoughts that aren't even ours. And so maybe it's time to liberate ourselves from these thoughts that aren't serving us. And it wasn't until I was a few years older, I was actually 19 years older, where I asked myself a better question, which, by the way, your brain, the way that your brain works is your brain is a problem-solving mechanism, meaning that it's going to give you an answer to every single question that you ask it. But most of you are going around life asking bad questions, so you get bad answers. Why won't this work? When is it going to fail? Why am I not a good father? Why am I not a good leader? Why am I not a good speaker? Your brain's going to give you all the reasons of why you aren't those things because you're asking that question. And so what if today, even just the one thing that you implemented was asking better questions? What if today, I want you to write this question down. What if right now you ask yourself, what makes me successful in this very moment? What are all the reasons why this is going to work and that it could work? Because I bet you when you ask better questions, your brain will form better answers and it'll give you more certainty, belief that you can do the very things that we're teaching here today, right? And so I was 19 years old and I asked myself, Nick, I said, what's good about having no legs and one arm? I challenged myself because my whole life I thought it was the biggest curse, the most disgusting thing that could happen to me. And the answer that my brain gave me was this. If a girl doesn't want to love me because my no legs and one arm, if someone doesn't want to do business with me because my no legs and one arm, if someone doesn't want to be friends with me because my no legs and one arm, then wait. Maybe this disability or whatever you want to call it, this handicap is actually working for me. It's acting as an authentic human filter and it's filtering out the type of women and men that I don't want in my life anyway. How empowering is that? Because when you change your story, when you change the meaning, you change your life. But what's pretty interesting is a lot of times one bad thing can happen to you. One negative experience can happen to you. And what the brain does is that it repeats that experience over and over again. How many of you have ever had an amazing day and then your brain thought about a negative experience that happened in the past and you felt the emotions in the present moment? If you agree, drop a yes in the chat. That's because negative things happen to humans and we live in the past over and over and over again. And what we also do is we predict the worst case scenario based on our past results. You may have got to a sales job. You may have joined this challenge. You may have tried to do things that someone taught you and you didn't get the results immediately. So you developed a belief that you weren't good enough, that you weren't worthy, that you didn't have the tools, you didn't have the mechanics, you didn't have the mindset. And then you projected that into the future and you got the same results. But the difference between the unsuccessful and the successful is the successful people are persistent enough to get new results so they have new beliefs and new experience. Drop a yes in the chat if you're persistent enough today to go and persist to get a new experience so you can have new beliefs around your abilities. Be persistent enough to get new experiences. It's the same thing, maybe in your life, and I'm taking the psychology of life and business, right? Maybe in your life, you got cheated on. You may have developed a belief that all guys and girls were cheaters. Guess what? It ain't going to work until you're persistent enough to find a guy or girl who's faithful so you have a new experience and a new belief around women and men. It's the same thing that you need to do in business. Now, the other thing that I'm going to get into is I firmly believe that your confidence and your self-worth is the foundation to your success. Now, you see me, a man with no legs or an arm. How is this guy so certain? How is this guy so confident? How does this guy speak with so much conviction? It's because I built this person over time by unwiring and rewiring my brain. And I'm going to share lightly how we can do this. I can't dive into neuroplasticity here, but I'm going to share some of the things that we can do here. And so I firmly believe that your confidence and your self-worth is the foundation to your success because, and I want you to write this down, you'll never make more than you think you're worth. You'll never make more than you think you're worth, and that's in every single area of your life. If you don't think you're worth the amazing relationship, you'll date the guy or girl, you'll push them away because you don't feel worth. You won't charge what you think you should charge because you don't think you're worthy of it. which, by the way, the only difference from charging $1,000 and $10,000 is you move in the comma, adding a zero, and get someone to say yes. So you get new belief and new experience. Who's up for that? Drop a yes in the chat. And so how we build confidence, I'll give you an analogy here. And there was a bunch of great analogies that these leaders were teaching. And so the analogy that I want to give you is say this. I said, after this challenge, meet me on the Zoom call and we're going to have free sushi. We're going to have a party together, free food, right? You'd all show up. And I said, meet me here at 6 p.m. And you all get dressed up. You're looking good. And you show up to the Zoom date at 6 p.m. and Nick doesn't show up. How many times of Nick not showing up are you going to realize I'm unreliable? Once, twice, 3 times if you're a pushover. Now let's flip the script on ourselves. How many times are you going to tell yourself that you're going to go all in on your business? How many times are you going to tell yourself that you're going to become a better leader, close more deals, make more impact, be a better father, mother? How many times are you going to make a promise to yourself and you're going to break it, or are you going to realize you're unreliable? Now I say that out of love, because from a brother to a brother and a brother to a sister, I know there's a next level of life, or else you wouldn't be here. There's a next level of life for you, or else you wouldn't be here, yes? But the deeper challenge is, on an unconscious level, every time that you break a promise within yourself, you diminish the way you view yourself. You diminish your confidence, you diminish your self-integrity, and you diminish your word. And humans are only good as their word. But also, you answer this. When you break one promise, what is it easier to do? Quick. Break another. And then what? Break another. Break another, and break another. Welcome to your downward spiral. This is how the brain works. And so some of the things that I set up in my life to ensure that I feel confident, certain, and successful every single day is I have some non-negotiables in my life, things that I don't negotiate. Some of them, which I like HB and his analogy with the water, I got my gallon of water and my 45 minutes of movement. These are my non-negotiables. You don't need to be a bodybuilder. You don't need to be me, but you need to design the rules of your life so you feel successful, certain, and confident every single day. Who's up for that? But also you need to decide that you want the next level of life. You want to decide that you want to go all in on this. You want to decide that you want to take your body, your mind, your relationships, your wealth, your business, your impact, your platform to the next level. You need to decide. And are you interested, or are you committed? There's a big difference between interested in your goals and being committed to your goals. Yes or no? So you tell me, can we add some non-negotiables in my life so we feel successful, confident, certain every single day? The answer is yes. But also I want to challenge you here today. And the reason why I want to challenge you is because I've been obsessed with this question. And the question one of my students asked me is, Nick, why is change so hard? Why is it so hard to change my life? And who agrees? If changing your life was so easy, everybody would be living their dream life. Who agrees? Drop a yes in the chat. And this is why change is so hard. The reason why change is so hard is because your software or your brain wants what's known, what's certain, and what's comfortable. And over your period of life, unconsciously, you became addicted to specific emotions. Emotions like anxiety, stress, fear, overwhelm, guilt, anger, sadness, by focusing on the negative on your life. Unconsciously, you became addicted to these things. You know it. And so when you go to change your life, AKA start a new business, join the group, join the mastermind, go to the gym, quit your job. When you start to change your life, your brain goes, what are these new emotions? What are these new actions? I don't like this. I want to go back to what's comfortable. How can I self-sabotage my master's growth? I want to go back to what's comfortable. This is the ancient brain. It's 7 million years old. And so you're getting ready and you're about to join the group. You're about to join the mastermind. You're about to join the gym. You're about to switch up your eating healthy lifestyle, your diet, and your brain will send thoughts up your spine into your brain and it'll go like this. You're just like your mother. You're just like your father. You really think you could be an entrepreneur? No one in your family is a business person. What a joke. You really think you can lose the weight? Your whole family's obese. What are you kidding? Eat the cake. Skip the gym. Hit the snooze button. And your own brain and software talks you out of growing and expanding and having the next level of life. If this relates, drop a yes in the chat. If it relates that your software has talked you out of doing things that want you to expand and grow, drop a yes in the chat. That is the way the ancient brain works. I want you to be aware of this. All I'm here to do is make you more aware of the brain so you can take control of your life and not have your brain take control of you. Listen to me. Every single act of change, expansion, growth, investment is a threat to your brain because it's uncomfortable. So you decide whether you stay in the old version of yourself on autopilot or you override your old software. I want you to write that word down, override in capital letters. Underline it, star it, put a sticker on your forehead, whatever you need to do, override. That means you, I, Pete, you name it, all of these people that you look up to, we are in a constant day-to-day battle of overriding our old identity and our old self. And every time that your brain tells you don't do it, what should you do? Quick, in the chat. When your brain tells you don't go to the gym, what do? You override. When your brain tells you not to go up to that guy or girl because you're feeling insecure, override. When you get offered an opportunity to be surrounded by amazing mentors and get guided through a process to change your life and to change your business and change your impact and to change your bank account, and your brain's telling you don't do it, it's uncertain, it's uncomfortable, override. Because the more we override, we literally unwire the faulty neural pathway and we rewire the new one. And the more rewiring that we do, we become our default setting of the people that just step in and lead. We invest. We join, we go to the gym, we make expansion, we make impact, we change because we are aware that our brain's trying to talk about us out of growth. If this is gold, drop a yes in the chat. Most humans are unconscious and on autopilot. Brain studies show by the age of 35, you are 95% on all of autopilot, meaning your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, your words, your triggers are on autopilot, they're programmed. And that means that I hold up 5 fingers, but I only got one. Hold up 5 fingers if you're at home. That means only 5% of your brain is conscious trying to make a drastic change. You better hold on to that 5% because that's all you got. Who's up for overriding our old software and doing the things that our brain's telling us not to do? Because I think you and I can all agree, because if you're in this room, it means a few things. You're an action taker. You value your time. You invest in things that are super powerful that can save you time. And you want a next level of life. We do things that most people won't. We lean into the uncomfort. We lean into the uncertainty because we know the results that it's going to give us on the other side. And so you choose. The choice is yours. Whether you want to live an unconscious life or you want to override your old software and become more conscious so you can have a next level. Now, the last thing that I want to end off with, and I know I'm all over here, but I only have a few minutes and I can't dive into the brain as much as I like to. But I'm going to end off with the 3 C's. Real quick, 3 C's that I dedicate most of my success to. I'm only 25 years old. How did I have so much success? How did I compete as a bodybuilder? I'm on a world tour with Tony Robbins. How do I work with some of the top entrepreneurs, unwiring and rewiring brains? How does this work? The 3 C's. I want you to write this down. The first one is coaching. I'm a student of the game. I'm in the front row. I'm learning from everyone that I can. But coaching, when you look at some of the greatest in the world, the Conor McGregors, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, what do all these people have in common? Yes, thank you, they have millions of dollars. But the other thing is they all have a coach. Because when you're in your life, and when you're in your business, you have blinders on. I try to hold up my blinders with my limbs, right? But you have your blinders on. You can only see so much. But also, coaching is a cheat code to life because it allows you to learn from people who've already walked the path before. And when you learn from people who've already walked the path before, they can condense decades into years, decades into days, decades into months. And you and I both know that we are always willing to invest in something that has the ability to collapse time because time we can't get back. Who agrees? Drop a yes in the chat. First C is coaching. The second C is community. Community. Now you're like, how does this guy have so much knowledge and he's 25 years old? I'm what you call a knowledge broker, meaning I became an expert by studying the experts and creating my own stuff. Success leaves clues, like my great friend Tony Robbins says. I follow the experts, I study the experts, and I trickle down the knowledge to you. And so the second C is community. Now, one of the great people, Jim Rohn, if you don't know Jim Rohn, write his name down and go on YouTube and have yourself a blast. One of the GOATs. And Jim Rohn always said, like I said, I hold up 5 fingers, only got one. You are the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I'm going to shoot it straight with you. Because one thing I learned by working with most successful people is successful people like to be talked to direct. You hang around people who are unhealthy, it's only a matter of time before you're unhealthy. You hang around people who have toxic relationships, it's only a matter of time before you start having toxic relationships. You hang around people who are broke, it's only a matter of time before you got broke tendencies. And when you hang around people who have low standards, it's only a matter of time where you start lowering your own damn standards in life. These are the things that you can control. You can control who you get coached by, and you can control who you surround yourself by, your community, which, by the way, we have an amazing community here on this platform tour, unbelievable. Because sometimes when you're in your business, you feel like a lone wolf. And I know you feel like that because I was that person as well. Surround yourself with people who are richer and smarter than you, and I promise you will collapse time. And the last C is consistency. Lack of consistency leads to overwhelm, low self-esteem, and anxiety. If you're feeling anxiety or overwhelmed about something, it's probably your lack of preparation or your lack of consistency. But when you are consistent, you build belief, you build certainty, you build confidence. And these are the foundation to you getting the things that you want. Because the truth is, everything that you want is just on the other side of fear. You're scared. Tony said it the other day. He said, if I can follow entrepreneur stress, it leads to fear. You're scared. But I tell you what great leaders do, and by the way, whether you're Oprah, Pete Vargas, Mother Teresa, we still have fear. But we just learn to dance with it. We just learn to leverage it. And we know it's not there to make us run away, but more there to give us a sign to lean in so we can grow. But that's what these 3 C's will do. Your coaching, your consistency, and community will eliminate fear, eliminate fog, give you certainty, belief, and confidence, but most importantly, give you a community of people who have the results that you want and people who've already walked the path before. So they make it extremely easy. And so right now, I want you to write down in your notes, what am I going to decide to do right now that's going to take my life to the next level? What am I going to decide right now that's going to get me to the next level? Because you know what? Everything comes down to a decision. The only reason why I'm here in front of you is my parents decided not to abort me when everyone else said to. The only reason why I'm here is because I decided that I had a voice and a better life and more to give, and I wanted to serve. And I decided that people were going to know who I was. And I was going to be a messenger. I was going to be a vessel, and I was going to share the message. I'm not cool. It's the message coming through me. I just got a unique body to do it. I wanted to be a bodybuilder, so I decided that I was going to become a bodybuilder. I decided that I wasn't going to play victim anymore because victims don't win in the long game. And I decided that I was going to be victorious and override my old software. So right now, on your paper, decide what is that one thing I'm going to do that is going to get me to the next level. With that being said, my friends, this is a little taste of the brain. But remember, every change, every growth opportunity, every expansion, every stretching is a threat to your brain because it wants what's comfortable. Override it so you can have a greater life. Send it love, my friends.
Yes. Wow, dude. I've sat here for the last 2. And listen, dude, that was amazing, bro. Like, unbelievable. Guys, coaching. He invested in himself. I know that because he's a student of ours. Community. He's a part of my community. Like, we're going to have a little strategy planning when I'm out in Vegas to work on his business because I want it to go to another level. I think he's doing incredible things in this world, and I think there's more that he can do. Like, unbelievable. The chat is lighting up, and not all of our speakers, most of our speakers can't see the chat because for a production purpose, we can't give you them like we're giving them to you if we had them in Zoom too, like with all of you. And listen, consistency. You have to make a decision. Nick, I know that you gave us 25 minutes of something powerful, but I'm also excited. Let me show everybody this and then bring Nick right back up, guys.